your unfolding peace and show, Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love.
Good evening and welcome to our Midweek Faith Lift. My name is Shannon LeBrun and today is Wednesday, November 30th.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It flies.
Man.
And we just finished Thanksgiving long weekend.
Yeah.
And how was your Thanksgiving, Reverend Doug?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I always do, as a matter of fact, I got a T-shirt on from one of this, but on Thursday mornings, on Thanksgiving mornings, there's this, what do they call it? The Grateful Gobbler Walk. Okay. And it's a charity, essentially, for a certain homeless organization here, or an organization that helps the homeless here in town. And this T-shirt, as a matter of fact, it's got the logo on it, the
cool.
Grateful Gobbler Walk,
Cool.
and it's on an 8:00 Thanksgiving morning every year.
Wow.
And this year there was like almost 5,000 people.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 5K walk. It starts at Coolidge Park, and then we walk down Margaret Street, turn around, and walk back, which is about 3.1 miles, something like that. And every year, my daughter and son-in-law and some of their friends and relatives, and we all go down there and do that.
That's
it's
so
great.
Cool. That's so nice. And is it a fundraiser?
It's a fundraiser for an organization that helps the homeless, and it's huge. And like I say, there's almost 5,000 people.
Wow.
That do that every year. So, anyways, that was my Thanksgiving, and then Penny and I and her mom get together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
And I always gained 2 or 3 pounds.
Well, unfortunately, for my Thanksgiving, I was expecting my son to come down actually from Buffalo, New York.
Oh, okay.
And him and my grandkids, but unfortunately, they had a big snowstorm in Buffalo.
That's right, they did.
I think they had like 6 feet. Can you imagine 6 feet of snow?
Well, I was born in Buffalo.
Okay.
And I grew up in upstate New York.
Okay.
For those of you who are familiar with that area, it goes Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, and Albany, straight across.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And believe it or not, the city in this country that gets the most snow of the year is Syracuse, New York.
Wow.
Now, you wouldn't think that normally, but between Buffalo and Syracuse, you get this lake effect off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And, I grew up with snowstorms like that.
Wow.
I mean, I can remember drifts up to the telephone wires.
Wow, that's a lot of snow.
School closed for a week.
Wow.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was living in Chicago. Just tell you one story. Penny and I were living in Chicago. We just got married. It was in January, and I knew there was a snowstorm the night before, and they, said, hey, be careful and all that. So I got up in the morning, and we had this big picture window in the front of our house, and I looked at the picture window, and I couldn't see anything. And I figured, well, maybe it's foggy outside.
Right.
And so I went to open the front door.
And you couldn't get out. You couldn't get out.
The snow had come straight off the roof, never broke, went across the road and went up. We had 2 cars in our driveway, not even a bump.
Wow.
Not even a bump.
Wow.
There was that much snow.
Wow. I mean, you can't get out.
No.
Right.
You're
stuck in your home.
That's right. You better have some beef stew stored up or something.
Wow, that can be scary. I mean, I'm claustrophobic.
Right.
And so I can imagine like going to the window, seeing all the windows covered with snow. You can't get out. Going to the door, you can't get out of the door. I mean, we're not here to talk about this.
I know. Well, I'll tell you what I did.
Right.
The back door you can get out.
Okay.
Because it came this way.
Okay.
Big. And the other thing too, you go in the garage and you hit the garage door button and the door goes up.
Okay,
like
the garage. Right.
So we could get out.
Right.
There wasn't a problem.
But there's situations I'm sure where that may happen where you can't get out. You don't have a garage. You don't have a back.
Well, the biggest thing about not getting out is extreme cold temperatures.
Right.
And when we were in Chicago, I can remember there was one time when it was 40 below on the thermometer with a 40-mile-an-hour northwest wind, which took it to like about minus 75 with a wind chill. You don't go out with that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the thing is, if you grow up in those climates and that area of the country, you know, you pack stuff in.
Right.
You know, the winter's coming.
You
Okay.
pack stuff in,
So let's
We're gonna
have
deal-
some
we're gonna
stuff.
deal with it. And then your neighbors, whoever can get out, they see that they haven't seen you in a couple of days. They come and start to
All of that.
Yeah, all that
Or
stuff.
you pick up the phone, or
Right.
you know,
Because those things still work most
Yeah.
of the time. Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. You know, Doug, the reason why, you know, I love when you come visit me here.
Well, yeah,
with the
that's what
Midweek
we do.
Faith. Yeah, with the Midweek Faith Lift, because, you know, you bring a wealth of knowledge.
Well,
And
I bring what I got. Whatever
well, it's a wealth of knowledge, and
Yeah.
especially when it comes to new thought, when it comes to metaphysics, and so
Right.
you know, I appreciate that. It deepens my understanding, and it deepens the viewer's understanding. And so whenever you come, it's like a treat, because we're gonna go a little deeper into understanding metaphysics. We're gonna go a little deeper into. I know I'm gonna get more knowledge in
Sure.
metaphysics. I'm gonna get more knowledge in thought. I'm gonna get more knowledge in unity, which is all my goal, and I think it's the viewer's goal. You know.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope one of the reasons people tune into this and watch is maybe a tidbit here, a tidbit there, and it's extemporaneous too. So whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Whereas on Sunday, usually I have a scripted talk about something that I'm either thinking about or that I think others might be interested in. Whereas this way, you know,
It's not scripted.
No, it's just whatever questions come up.
And speaking of that, you know, Sunday, you mentioned something Sunday that kind of, you know, as I say in my neighborhood, you blew my wig back. You blew my wig back.
Okay.
You said God doesn't give out handouts, and it blew my wig back.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? The reason it blew my wig back is because, you know, I come from a place where, you know, God, when you ask God for something,
Right.
you know, on a physical level, you get it. You know, or at least I
Right.
believe I get it.
Right.
And you're saying God doesn't give out handouts. So I want you to, I understand what you meant when you said it, but I think there are a lot of viewers out there that might not really kind of understand that. So I wanted you to kind of break that down a little bit further, because you're coming from a metaphysical point of view.
Well, yeah, and also a life experience of looking at these things, and also a prayer life, you know. And
So your shit is kitchen tested.
well, I'm coming from my
Experience.
perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, Jesus could change water to wine.
Right.
You know, he didn't have a big bar tab. He could have whatever he wanted.
Right.
You know, and I think there are probably people on this planet, not a lot. I mean, I've heard stories. There are these gurus over in India who can materialize things. I can't do that, you know, or haven't been able to, you know, poof, and there it is. What I have found in my life is that, and what I believe, is that we're made as creator beings. We're little godlings, okay? We've got a creative ability to us, and there's much more to our mind than just a brain, okay? There's something else there, and the idea behind all this is that God wants us to grow into the creative, loving being that we want to be in God's image. Okay. So the way that works is essentially the connection, the relationship there between God and each one of us is one of ideas. It's one of thought. And so if you had a son or a daughter, for example, you wouldn't want them relying on you 100% of the time for fulfilling their needs. What you would want them to be is their own person, growing up to be responsible and to create the life that they wanted to create. Okay, well, the same is true with God. And so the inspiration that we have is primarily ideas. What do I want to be? Do I want to be a concert pianist? Okay, well, a door opens over here where you get to meet a person who is a great piano teacher. Okay, does it look like it was just by chance? It might look that way, but it's not. Okay, what happened there is a door opened for your opportunity for you to walk through. And one of the things a teacher told me many, many years ago was, Doug, you want to make sure you do all your preparation work to go in the direction that you want to go, do your homework, get yourself ready, so that when that door opens, you can walk through it with skill and ability. And I have found that to be true. For example, let's say that you've got a son and he's watching TV and he wants to be a football player. So what you might do as a dad is saying, oh, you want to be a football player? Well, let's go out and throw the football. So you throw the football a little bit, and he starts picking up on that, and he kind of likes doing that. So you start throwing passes and, start doing some of the football stuff. Okay. And so then there's a Pee Wee football league. And you say, well, let's go over there. I'll get you some pads, and stuff, and let's see how you do. And if he does well, then he goes to the next league, and then he gets into junior high and starts playing, and like that. And if he starts doing really well, maybe you get him a coach or something. On the other hand, if he's watching TV and he likes that, and he pantomimes himself as being, a linebacker after this guy or quarterback after that guy, and you say, well, let's go out and throw the ball. And he says, no, I don't want to, and sits on the couch and eats the chips and plays with his cell phone. He's never going to be that quarterback. He's never going, that sort of thing. So I guess, I'm, rambling a little bit here, but the idea is that God, in my opinion, plants inspiration, ideas, and as you pick up on those, as you run with those, more doors open. Some of it is the law of attraction. Some of it is providence moving too. Now, where's the difference? I don't know. What I can tell you is that many times in my life I've wanted to create something, a door open, and then I'll get okay, this is what you need to do, and I either do it or I don't. Okay, it's up to me. And if I do it, if I walk through those doors, something even greater is going to show up. If I choose not to, then those things start to close down. So that's kind of what I was saying. On Sunday, for those of you who didn't see the talk, I talked about the Pilgrims basically coming over to this country.
Right.
And the idea was that they had an inspiration for religious freedom and a better life, which they couldn't find in Europe as it existed at that time. And was it easy coming over? Heck no, it wasn't easy. And once they got over here, the journey itself was hard enough, but once they got over here, they didn't immediately hit it off with the locals, all right? Eventually that worked out. Now here's where some of the providence comes in. Here's where some of the synchronicities come in. I told the story of Squanto, the Native American.
Right.
Well, he was captured by the English 3 years earlier, and they took him back to England.
He learned English.
Exactly. And he didn't like that, okay? And they took him over there basically as a carnival act. They said, hey, look what we found.
Right.
And they're just showing people what the savages in this, but
it benefited him in the long run, and
it benefited everybody in the long run.
Yeah.
That's providence working, And was it difficult for Squanto? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Was it difficult for the Pilgrims? Yes. But the doors were there, and when people stepped up, those doors opened. We have what we have today.
Yeah. One of the other things that you mentioned was the fact that, like, when you are looking to change a particular behavior or a particular attitude or way of thinking, that it takes a while for that to kick in, because the vibrations that have been going for many, many years, is that old vibration, and so that stuff is still being attracted.
That's right.
And you're in the process, but you're also in this process of wanting something new.
Right.
So they're in kind of conflict with each other.
That's correct.
And so, can you kind of describe that a little bit more in detail?
Yeah.
How maybe can you even help the viewers to understand how long it may take?
Yeah. I can.
Mm-hmm.
The psychologists tell us that there are basically three characteristics of our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's three basic areas that they look at, and this goes back to Jung and Freud and
Mm-hmm.
some of those guys, but it's still true today.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Fillmore talked about it. The first area is the subconscious mind.
Right.
And if we take a look at the power of the subconscious mind, it's basically working 24/7, 365, and it is controlling not only the behavior, but the attracting nature of our mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's in there, the programming behind that, all came through the conscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
which is nowhere near as powerful.
Is the subconscious.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the subconscious mind is pumping out like 4 billion bits of information,
Mm-hmm.
a minute, whereas the conscious mind is like 250,000.
Mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm.
so
no
it's a huge difference.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but what happened is when we were little kids, when we were even in our before we were born in the womb, we were
Learning stuff,
collecting
programming, yeah.
energy, in the form of energy. And in the first few years, 1, 2, and 3, we may not have the language skills down, but we're absorbing energy like a magnet. Okay, so what happens is in those first few years, whatever is going on becomes normal. And if it's a healthy, intelligent environment, then that's what we
receive. That's what we feel. That's what we get. That's what our programming becomes.
That's exactly right. If, on the other hand, it's a situation where there's a lot of need, there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of
Hostility,
crime,
anger,
all that kind of stuff, then that becomes normal. So once you get to 6, 7, 10, 15, 20, what happens is all that stuff is in your subconscious mind that this is normal. That's what you project. That's the type of life you create.
Wow.
So let's go fast.
And this has nothing to do with DNA.
No.
You're not talking about DNA yet. You're just talking about vibrational energy that you're receiving in the womb that's coming through.
Cultural programming is what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
And it's huge. So what happens is once you get, the classic example is when
But this cultural programming is not, I'm sorry, you
Go
said
ahead.
cultural programming.
Right.
And cultural programming, I understand, but this cultural programming is not coming from anything, it's coming from a vibration at this point.
That's right.
When you're in the room, it's coming from a vibration that you're feeling, as
Right.
opposed to a person, me seeing it and viewing it and getting it.
Right.
That's deep. I just want to emphasize. That's why I emphasize this is not even DNA yet. We're talking about a vibration that's coming through that's.
DNA
sorry.
is a whole different discussion.
Yeah. So this cultural vibration is cultural programming on a vibrational level is deep, and it's worth exploring a little bit more, Doug, because people need to understand that. I think that
it's what's programmed into your hard drive. Think of the subconscious as your hard drive. And so once.
But what I'm referring to, and what I'd like you to emphasize, because I'm picking up that you know it. I'm picking up something that I think the viewers need to understand.
Okay.
And that is that there's a vibration that is happening in the field, in the energy field, that a fetus can feel.
Absolutely.
And so I'd like you
at some point,
and it becomes a part of them.
That's right.
So if there's depression going on, if there's hostility, if there's that fetus can feel that energy.
That's right.
In that energetic field.
Yes.
And that becomes normal.
That's
and
right.
I just want that to be understood, because that's deep. It's
Yeah.
not even DNA yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I told a personal story like that.
You did.
At one point.
Yeah, you did. But you move so fast, and I just want to slow it down a little bit so that people can get it, because the environment you put yourself in, if you're pregnant and a woman and you put yourself in an environment where that stuff is happening, more than likely the kid's gonna experience something like this. I'm sorry, I don't want to be the professional.
No,
here. I
that's
just want
right.
you to, be a little bit more descriptive of that part of it. I mean,
Right.
'cause people can understand, oh, yes, in your genes. People can understand you learned it from your mama. But when you talk about energetic fields, that's some deep shit.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Yeah. It's, I mean, yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly.
well, I mean, I just wanted you to.
So let's take a look at an example of how that works.
Yeah.
Everybody, I won't say everybody, most people, once they get to be 15, 16, 18, 21, something like that, a lot of people in that will look at their background, they'll look at the way they grew up, and they're going to say to themselves, wait a minute, I want to do what I want to do. Okay, I want a better life than this. Of course, we blame our parents and all that kind of stuff, which is another topic entirely.
Wow.
But
you talked on that on Sunday.
yeah,
You did the best they could.
but what we want to do is we want to create a different life for ourselves. That's where the consciousness comes in. All right. So your consciousness, your inspiration, your God thoughts is taking you to this next level. And what are you working with? You're working with the subconscious that doesn't want to go. Okay. What the subconscious wants to do is keep creaing what it is already programmed to do. Okay. So how do we interact with those two things? You got a huge subconscious that says, wait a minute, I want to do what I've always done, and I want to create what I've always created because that's what I've been told to do. And then here's your conscious mind that says, wait a minute, there's a better way. I want to do something else.
Greater.
And above that is the superconscious, which is God, which is telling your conscious mind to tell your subconscious mind. So it's kind of flowing downhill a little bit. So it's a pull. It's a pull upward. And that's difficult. That's where prayer comes in. And oftentimes my prayers are, okay, God, show me, give me a better idea, give me an idea of where we're going with this. And by the way, maybe open a door or two, okay? And so those things come in the form of ideas into your conscious mind. And then in your conscious mind, in your meditations, you sit there and you take those conscious thoughts and you say, this is who I want to be. When this type of situation comes up, this is the result that I want to see. And consciously, you go in that direction, all right? And your subconscious mind is going to say, if there's enough power there. In other words, you don't just think of those things for 30 seconds and then go back to your old behavior. You think it over and over and over. You look in the mirror, you speak those things, you use I am statements, you use prayer, use a lot of willpower to go in this direction. And what happens is the subconscious says, oh yeah? Okay, all right, let's go.
And it goes with it.
And it goes with it.
But it takes time. It takes
It
practice.
takes time,
And
it
you're
takes
working
willpower.
you're working against a big hill that you've created for such a long time. And so it takes time.
Now,
Look,
let's,
I want to.
Okay.
Okay. What is a miracle, Doug? What is a miracle? Because I'm thinking in my mind, okay, God doesn't give you, okay, so there's no free handouts, right? And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, there are times where you can say, hey, you God, heal me from this condition, and you go to the doctor the next day, and it's like I've heard these stories before, and it's
Right.
like you no longer have whatever the condition is you wanted healing from. That to me is a miracle that was given by God that I asked for. So it seems to me as if there's a difference between, and I had to break this down for me, like there are miracles and then there are divine inspirations that go through you.
yes,
And so miracles happen,
miracles happen.
right? But then
My license plate says that.
Yeah. The unity license plate says
Right.
So miracles happen. There are times where you can ask and things come. But most of the time it comes through divine, not miracles, but what you're looking for comes through divine idea, divine.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes and no.
Okay, well.
All right. So let's talk about miracles for a minute. Miracles are nothing more than the manifestation of spiritual law. Okay. I mean, as you read the Bible and as you read, other material, even the angels are not. Even the angels work through divine law. Okay, when you take a look at a person at Jesus's level, his mind, his subconscious, everything about him is so aligned with love and with spiritual law that all he has to do is have a thought and it'll manifest. Okay? When we talk about spiritual growth, what we're talking about is taking that conscious mind and making the subconscious one with the conscious, which is one with the superconscious, which is one with God. That's what we're talking about. And once you reach those levels, a simple thought manifests instantly.
So that's a miracle. A simple thought manifests instantly. That's a miracle, right?
For most of us, we would think so because we can't do it.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
But
For the people who can.
But there are people who can, and they simply follow it with natural law. I mean, read Genesis. You know, in the beginning, you know, let there be light, and there was light. It was all thought. You know, that sort of thing. Now, do miracles occur in everyday life? Yes, they do. And I can tell you story after story. People that I've known. I'll just give you one, for example. A man that I knew a while ago who has since passed on, but we were talking about this one day, and he was diagnosed with cancer. And he went to his prayer life that night and said, God, why did you give me cancer? And the answer that he got was, I didn't. Okay. In other words, there was something going on in him that created that. And I'm not going to judge it good or bad or whatever, okay? But there was something within him that created it. And God or his spiritual advisor, whoever was talking, said, I didn't, but I can take it away. All right? And the guy's name was Ralph, and I'm not sure what Ralph said in that conversation. But anyways, he went to the doctor the next day, which was surgery, or 2 days later, and they opened him up, and they didn't find a trace. Okay? There are people on the planet who I have met who can work with people and can heal those things. Now, one of the spiritual healers, one of the great ones that I knew, excuse me, I was sitting next to in a seminar one time, and she was talking with a person next to her who had a malady of some sort. Okay, and the two were talking, and the healer said, well, we can heal that right now, but there was something within you that created that
or right caused again.
And so if we don't change the underlying thought, it's going to come back.
Again, right.
All right. So let's work on the cause rather than the fix. So when we take a look at miracles, there are people out there whose subconscious, conscious mind, and superconscious mind are so aligned with spirit and with natural law that they can simply have a thought and it
manifest quickly.
And it will manifest very, very quickly. Right. Okay. For people who look at that, they'd say, oh, that's a miracle. Well, no, it isn't. It's just aligning with divine law. And it's growing in the direction of being a creative being, consciously connected with God. But does it look like a miracle? Yes, it does.
So let's look at the people who are not at that level, that ask for a particular. Let's talk about healing. They ask for a particular healing.
Right.
So they what happens once they ask? What usually comes after that? Once they ask, or the person asks, what usually comes after that?
It depends. It depends on the person. And I would say there's a broad range. I've been working with one person right now who has a particular malady, and I've explained a lot of these things and said, well, let's do prayer work, on a regular basis. If you come on Sunday, we'll do prayer work. We'll talk about this, and then I encourage them to do positive affirmations and prayer work and that sort of thing. And I don't know whether they're doing that on their own or not.
Right.
Okay.
But you're encouraging them to do that. So you talk about the work that they need to do, in addition to just asking. They need to do the work. My question to you is: is there something that comes from God to them? Is there ideas or thoughts inspirations that come to them? Maybe
to the level that they are connected is the level that it will show up.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So
that's important.
It's huge.
Right. Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I'll give you a personal example.
So this person can't just automatically make that malady go away. The person that we described who can do that. There are people who can do that. But this particular person we're talking about is not connected in that way. They don't have that kind of connection. So when they ask, it depends on the connection that they have that will give them what will come next from God. Is that
exactly
right?
Exactly.
So it's important to have a connection.
Yeah, that's why I constantly, over and over and over, every single Sunday, I talk about the same thing. A little bit different here, a little bit different there, but but my message always is have a personal spiritual practice, whatever works for you. Okay, and that involves prayer. It involves meditation. It involves what are the highest thoughts that you have for yourself and those around you. Your friends, your family, people that you work with and for. What's the highest vision for all of that, and constantly be working in those directions. All right. One thing I can tell you, just as an example, I worked in industry for 30 years or so, and I'd say the last 15 or 20, I was a plant manager. I'd go to
the worst plants and fix them up.
Yeah, typically. And I did a lot of prayer work.
Right. Yeah.
A lot. In other words, I'd go in and I'd get a feel for what needed to be done, and then I would hold that in prayer and see what happened. I'll give you one example. This was down in an Atlanta facility. I think it was maybe 150,000 square feet, which is not big for a manufacturing plant when you compare it to like General Motors or Ford or something like that. But it's about 150,000 square feet. We had maybe 125 people. And basically what we did is we made several different products to stock and then sold from inventory. All right. So we had a certain amount of inventory there. Well, my boss called me up one day, and this place was packed. It was packed. We had nice 8-foot aisles. It was clean, but there wasn't a lot of extra room anywhere. Okay. So my boss calls me up one day and he says, Doug, we want you to stock some more of this, and it was a large product. It was called cable tray. A cable tray looks like an aluminum ladder. They're long, okay, and big stuff. Not necessarily heavy, but takes up a lot of space. Yeah. And he said, we want you to store all of
in the same space that you already
more space. And I got thinking, I said, how the heck am I going to do that?
Right.
I had no idea how to do that. And I fussed about it over the phone. And basically he just kind of growled and snarled and said, well, if you're the right guy, you'll figure it out. And, all those kinds of things. So anyways, I didn't have a clue. So I came in on a Saturday night. Nobody was there because it was shut down on Saturday. Sometimes we'd work half of Saturday, okay, but Saturday night and Sunday, there's nobody there. So I came into the plant and I grabbed a chair and I went out in the middle of our warehouse, okay, the shipping department warehouse was all kind of same thing. And I sat there and I turned on a couple lights and I just meditated. And I said, how am I going to do this? And I just sat there and all of a sudden, ding, this is how you do it. And I said, that'll work. And I went and got a tape measure, did a few things and said, this is how we're going to do it.
You asked a question.
I asked a question.
You asked a question out loud to the universe,
Yeah.
to God. How am I going to do this?
Right.
And also, you heard a message that told you to take your butt to the plant on Saturday night.
That's right.
Something you heard told you to do that. And probably a family like, where are you going this time of night? And you're like, I'm going to the plane. For what?
Yeah,
I don't know why. I was just going there.
Where are you going on Saturday night?
To the plane to sit down and yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Leave your credit card at home.
So what you're saying to me is that it's like, you know, like when you're seeking something from God, God is going to send you messages, going to give you
Yes.
information, and it's up to you to figure that out and take action towards those messages.
That's
and,
correct.
And move in that direction.
That's correct.
And you, because you have a prayer life, because you practice this stuff, you yielded to that direction to go to point number one.
Right.
And then you sat there and you asked, how do I do this? And you opened yourself to an answer.
Now, one
So
thing.
you have to be open also.
Well, that's the whole idea.
Right, yeah.
Okay, that's the whole idea. And when we talk about being open, what's going to happen is you're going to get some of these ideas, you're going to get some of these ideas, you're going to get some of these, and every one of them's got a vibration to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
when you're deciding what to do, you take a look at those ideas, you feel that vibration, and one of them is going to feel better than the others.
Yeah.
And that's the one that you want to try to go.
Mm-hmm. And even when you get these, okay, so you get these vibrations,
Yeah.
and they come and you figure out which one is feels the best, and has the highest
Right.
good. That's important too. You mention that all the time. Has a good for everyone involved. You don't want to
Exactly.
get. And then you know, like I think what's important is that well, you didn't mention this, but man, I forgot my thought. And
It does happen.
I'm sorry.
One thing about that story that I will tell you is that when I went in and I put the chair down in the middle of the warehouse, I had maybe a couple lights on. I started out, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I know what my process was. And the process was simply thanking God, thanking spirit guides for being right here and showing me a better way of how to of how to bring these products in. So it was thankfulness, it was appreciation, it was opening for a better idea, and then becoming still and kind of waiting for that to happen. And I can tell you, when you have a practice like that, and you're just kind of waiting for it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. It's like all of a sudden, bam, a map truck is there. It's a thought and a feeling together.
And then the other part of it is that the work that you're going to need to do to get that done. Now you have the idea, right? You have the idea. It's come to you.
Now you got to do it.
You got to do it. And it doesn't mean because you got this inspiration from God, like you talked about with the pilgrims, it's going to be easy.
Right.
And even though the vibration is right and it's for everyone that's involved is good, still doesn't mean that it's going to be the work that's involved is not going to be. There's going to be work involved to get it done.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
That's correct.
So that's important. Also,
And I can tell you, I've had a number of those types of situations that have turned out to be pretty difficult and hard, you know, and it took a lot of energy. And I'd rather be doing this, and you want me to, okay, well, I got to do that. You know, I'd rather be riding my motorcycle or kayaking. No, this is, and Spirit has never apologized for that. Okay, it's, I mean, even in the Bible, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says that, you know, the road is difficult, the gate is narrow, and there are few who find the, you know, the route. And so, what it takes is a lot of willpower of focusing on the highest and the best that you want, and focusing on that exclusively, and then following the guidance that you get, or following the thoughts that you get. And once you do that repeatedly over time, then pretty soon people are looking at you like,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
How you get that done?
You
How do you know that?
That's where the saints come from. That's where the avatars come from. That's where, you know.
So the affirmative prayer is seeing God working through you, right? Is that what, you know, what I'm getting from affirmative prayer is, you know, I'm sorry.
Well, basically what affirmative prayer is, it's becoming still. It's inviting in God's presence, as opposed to anything else, you know. And again, stories are coming up, but the idea is to focus on God exclusively for the highest and the best for all concerned. And then talking about the particular situation that you want, all right, and then being still and waiting for an answer. Now, what we do when we're praying with others is we just follow that route, and I do that every Sunday. And you can see, for those of you who watch some of our Sunday programs, you'll see I'll come out with a microphone and I'll ask somebody. Many times it's a prayer for somebody else, sometimes it's for themselves, for a particular situation. And so what affirmative prayer is joining together. We join our hands together. Okay, so let's join our hands, our hearts and our minds together and invite in God's presence. Okay, and as we invite in God's presence, we feel that strong, loving, guiding, healing presence beginning to flow through us.
Right.
All right, and then as we talk about the particular situation, we talk about what we want to see. You know,
Guiding, healing, presence.
Yes.
Flowing through us.
Yes.
What does that mean? Guiding, healing, presence flowing through us. So we're focusing on God's guiding, healing presence.
Right.
That's powerful.
It's huge.
I mean, you go so quick, and these things. So this is like deep, because it's not just focusing on God, but it's focusing on God's guiding presence. A guiding presence.
Yeah, what we're saying is God is here right now.
Right.
Okay. And if God is here right now as an energy that's surrounding us, that wants nothing but
the best.
our best for us, who is, you know, we call God Father many times.
Right.
In
What's the best
New
Father?
Thought, it's more Mother, Father, God. Okay. But we often refer to it as God is the Father. So imagine a loving Father right there with his arm around you and saying, how can I help? You know, I'm right here.
So I see God's guiding force.
Exactly.
Right.
Right there.
Right.
It's there.
Right.
And so once you affirm that,
the inspiration's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
You
what?
never broke it down like that, bro.
Okay.
You never broke it down like that before. I mean, you say it and you break it down like that, but I never got it like that.
Okay.
But I get it like that today. It's powerful.
It
takes a while, man.
It takes a little
It
while.
takes a while. Yeah. So I hope you guys got something out of that, because that's really deep, and it's a process.
You know what we ought to do?
What
We ought to do something like this on a Sunday morning.
like just kind of
Yeah.
talk.
We'll get out there in front of the congregation, put 2 chairs down, and we'll do one of these.
Yeah, and then people will start. Well, wait a minute. You know, and
Then hands will go up.
Yeah, we could do that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
why do you think that's a good idea? What do you?
Because what happened right now is you got something that through your questions and through this interaction that I probably couldn't. I mean, if I gave the best talk in the world,
Right.
you know,
You give the best talks in the world. Trust me.
I appreciate that.
I have to watch them 50 times in order to get. I do. I have to because it's so many nuggets in there, and you want to, you know. But that
people have told me that. You know, my mother-in-law was at the service, and she.
I mean, it's bro. I watch you. Look, I mean, if I turn on YouTube right now, you'll see your face right there.
Okay.
I watch this stuff. See?
There he is.
Yeah. I watch this stuff because I want to get a deeper understanding of what you're saying, and you're saying so many different things. And so when you're talking to a church, and
they're all connected.
Of course they're connected.
You know,
yeah.
and oftentimes I don't want to be so brief. You know, with a.
You're doing a great job, by the way. There's nothing more you can. I'm not going to say there's nothing more you can do. Of course, there's always room for improvement. I mean, in your own, whatever you think you want to improve. I just think that it's important for individuals to take the time if they want more to decipher this stuff. And so I choose to do that. I'm not sure what everybody else is doing, but that's what I choose.
Well, therein lies the key. Okay, it's how do you put something out to feed people? And you mentioned something just a few minutes ago about there's a lot there. My mother-in-law was at the service on Sunday, and she said some nice things afterwards to my wife, and then she looked at me and said, "Boy, that that was a great talk and everything. And then she said something else. She said, "You covered a lot of ground." And I'm thinking, man, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to try to keep it simple, because when you're putting a talk together, the whole idea is, what's the spiritual principle, and then give examples of that. Okay, and so if this is and sometimes I'll open up with the example first, with the story, which is why Jesus told stories. That's why he did it in parables, because people aren't going to remember the spiritual principle as much as they'll remember the story.
Right.
Okay, and so that's why I told the story of the pilgrims. That's why I still told the story of Norman Rockwell, and and when we put some pictures out there, so that people can see the pictures, trying to hit different learning styles. That's the whole idea. But when she said, "Boy, you covered a lot of ground," I'm thinking, "Oh man, I lost it."
No, you didn't. I mean, everybody has their way, and they get their messages the way they get their messages. I mean, but it's I mean, people get what they get, and it's up to them to, I guess, say, "Hey, listen, what were you saying here, or can you help me to understand this, or So that's why I think this podcast is important.
I do too. Yeah, and the reason for that is it's personal. And if you've got questions, great. If you've got something that you think needs a little more light or a little more discussion, then this is the time to do it.
Yeah. But I like that idea about hanging out in front of the.
Well, here's the other thing that I think will work well is we can look at the congregation and I can simply say, how many of you watch the podcasts? On Wednesdays, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. And say, there's no guilt or whatever, but what we're going to show you, if you haven't seen one, is what that looks like. So Shannon, come on up here, and we'll sit down.
And whenever you think it's best to do that, I'll be willing to do that. Yeah.
Probably in January. Yeah. And the reason I'm saying that,
we're still filming.
Well, I know.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that, the next time we got to have a guest speaker this Sunday, and then I'll be up on December 10th. And that's Christmas. Yeah. So, the 10th and the 17th and the 20th, that's all Christmas stuff. Yeah. And then in the beginning of the year,
we want to get rid of all the old stuff.
It's New Year's stuff and Burning Bowl and things like that. But along about the middle of January.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I like that. Yeah, I think I like that. Jug, we got to go. We've been going much longer than 30 minutes. I'm almost sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have our spiritual connection group. Are you doing that prayer thing tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to tell the viewers a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have a prayer class Wednesday nights at 6:30, and
this is the last night for this class.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. It's what I've been doing is I've been showing people how to pray with others. Tonight, what we're going to do is, how do we pray for ourselves, which we just talked about a little bit. And we're going to be doing some examples of that, and that's what tonight's going to be.
Let me put that email up so that people can email Penny if they're interested in a link to that.
Exactly.
The Zoom is a Zoom meeting tonight.
It's a Zoom meeting.
6:30 or 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah.
Eastern time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying that because we have people in other regions now.
Dinner at our house is 5:45.
Oh, okay, cool.
You're invited.
I can make it. I got a good car.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So anyways, once the class kind of winds down and we do whatever we're going to do, I usually ask people, do you want to do some more? What questions do you have? And if there's interest and people want to do another session or something, we'll do one. And if they feel good about what they've got so far.
Yeah. One of the things that I found interesting about this class that you've been doing is after the class, I noticed last Sunday that there were little prayer pockets going on.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Prayer pockets going on at church, before church. And so it seems like the congregants are taking what you're teaching them and they're starting to apply it into their lives amongst each other, because I saw that happening.
I did too.
And I thought that was great.
Oh, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Spiritual connection tomorrow, at Whole Foods. You want to tell them a little bit about that? I'm gonna put that up real quick while you're talking about it.
Yeah, 6 o'clock at Whole Foods on Manufacturers Road. There's a mezzanine up at the top, and it's just an opportunity for people to come and ask questions and just hang out. It's 1 hour, and we go from 6 to 7. Very informal.
Yeah.
You know, it's if you want to show up, just ask some questions, or you had something on your mind you wanted to talk about, or whatever.
Or you just want to eat and just hang out with people.
Yeah.
We do that.
And I would encourage people. The room is free. We don't have to pay anything for it. And Whole Foods is in the business of selling food, and they have a deli and some other things. So I would encourage people to buy something.
Yeah, buy something and come upstairs and hang out with us.
That's right.
I always get pizza. I love the pizza. Yeah.
Pizza's good.
Yeah, pizza. You like the sandwich.
Yeah.
And then we have that other thing that we do on Sunday morning. We do a little
Mindful meditation.
a mindful meditation. That's with Laura Noyes.
Right.
And that's at 10:30. Usually starts around 10:30.
10:30 to 10:45,
Yeah.
and Laura leads a kind of a moving meditation, and it's a nice icebreaker.
Yeah.
If you're coming for the very first time and you walk in and you see us doing that, it might look a little strange, but other than that, it's kind of a nice thing.
I want to thank Steve Hastings and I want to thank Aaron for filling in for Landis Batts.
Oh yeah.
Last week. I mean, they did a spectacular job. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And the music that they sung was amazing. It kind of fit. It definitely fit into the sermon that you're talking.
One of the things that we do is I'll talk to the musicians ahead of time, usually on Wednesdays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Landis is usually asking me on Sunday, all right, what are you talking about next Sunday? I don't know, But anyways, we talk about that ahead of time, and I won't say always, but most of the time I'll leave it up to the musician. Yeah. Because they know that, and they know what they know. Okay, they know what songs they know better than I do.
So what I got from last Sunday's sermon, a little thing you said, I don't know if I remember. You said that you played a windpipe.
Yeah, well, it was a recorder. It was a little woodwind instrument.
Okay, so
I wasn't very good at it.
Okay, okay. You said you played Christmas carols when you were feeling. So I was wondering if you play any other instruments.
No, I tell you, my early.
I was like, wait, did he just say he played an instrument? Can we get him to play? Like,
no.
Be surprised people are listening.
Yeah, when I was in junior high, my parents gave me the opportunity to play an accordion. I was terrible. I really appreciate music, and I appreciate how it opens you up. Me doing it, it's not.
That's not your gift.
That's right.
Well, Doug, I want to thank you again for coming out.
Okay.
I want to invite our viewers to join us again next week at 4 o'clock for the Midweek Facelift. Also, I want to invite our viewers to join us on Facebook, or they could come live to our service at 11 o'clock at the Red Bank Community Center on Sunday morning at 11. You do that. Yeah. So,
You're all invited.
Yeah.
And so if you choose to show up, we'll say hello.
Yeah. And if you're online, you're welcome to say hello in the description box. And one of the other things I want to tell people also, like if you need prayer and you're watching us online and you need prayer, you can always shoot us a message in the chat. And Doug will definitely, during that prayer time, Doug will take your prayer, read it, and he'll pray for you in person. Not in person, but live through the camera. He'll pray for you. So that's something else for you.
And we have done that. Shannon has come up with a prayer request, on the cell phone, and I'll read it, and then we'll do a prayer there.
Yeah. And then the other option is just to send us an email, contact@unitychattanooga.org, and we can get that, and we'll just read that on Sunday and pray for the person.
Right.
And send us an email. Right. Other than that, you got anything else, Doug?
Nope.
I want to thank everybody for showing up, and we'll see you guys next week.
Very good. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.